I know what I want, I know what Zach likes. I know what I want, I know what Zach likes. And it's polar, la la, la 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 la. Yeah, it's What kind of incitement of insurrection is this? Do I try it? Yeah, I do. It looks a little... We're still getting there. We're still getting it. Welcome back, everybody. Professional wrestler, comic book collector, video game enthusiast, Zach the Ripper Comics here. And I want to thank everybody on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube specifically that has found the channel over the last week. You guys have seen my numbers skyrocket, and I cannot thank you enough. A lot of the comments have been absolutely fantastic towards the channel. Everybody really enjoying, and a lot of people don't always like what I say or what I do, and that's okay. That's what we're here for. We can have debates and we can go back and forth. It doesn't mean I'm right. It doesn't mean you're wrong. It just means that we're a community talking about comic books, video games, professional wrestling, and all things of the like. Now, I want to let everybody know that in the coming days, Go Away Heat episode number 2 that I did with Chris Wilde of Eagles News Now just a few days ago will be appearing on the channel in an edited version. You can see the uncut version currently over at Eagles News Now on YouTube. Please give him a like, give him a follow if you have not already. It's not just about football and about the Philadelphia Eagles. There's all kinds of cool things there around professional wrestling, around action figures, and a lot more. So please give him a follow. Let him know that Zach the Ripper Comics sent you. And if you do correspond with him, tell him he sucks. Tell him he's the worst ever. Tell him that his team absolutely blows, and let him know that that all came from the community of Zach the Ripper Comics. So without further ado, it is a really big week in comic books, so let's get into it. The first book we're going to take a look at this week is going to be the Chris Claremont Anniversary Special from Marvel. There's a lot of covers that released for this, and if you're not familiar with who Chris Claremont is, please go ahead, look him up. I will be doing an in-depth biography of sorts around Chris Claremont, as he was the deciding factor in Marvel comic books becoming huge in the 80s, probably along with the editor Jim Shooter. He created pretty much every X-Men story that you can think of off the top of your head involving the movies, the comic books, the animated shows, anything like that. It all came from the awesome mind of Chris Claremont. I just picked up, I believe it was cover B or C, nothing special, the Chris Claremont Anniversary Special. Now this book is basically like the Marvel Comics Presents or What Ifs, where there's a couple different backup stories as well. They are all written by Chris Claremont with some different artists throughout the book. Next, we're going to go indie, and I'm going to talk about AWA's Upshot. This is issue number 2 of 5 of Erratic. Now, if you remember, I talked about issue number 1 a few weeks ago that came out, and that it was potentially being pulled because of the main character looking suspicious. Looking a lot like the Amazing Spider-Man. I mean, obviously the pose is similar. Those lightning bolts could be construed as spider webs, the whole nine. Here we have issue number 2, and the cool thing about Erratic, I read the book after I purchased it, not knowing what it was about, but purchasing it based on the fact that it was probably going to get pulled. After reading issue number 1 and now issue number 2, I can honestly say that the story is really cool. It's about a 15-year-old in high school that does get superpowers a lot like Spider-Man. However, he can only use them for increments at a time. I believe it's 10 or 15 minutes at a time. So imagine being a superhero, but only being able to use those powers for small increments at a time. How do you go through life? How do you go through fighting the supervillains of the world when you only have certain increments to use your abilities? How many times did I say increments? Let me know in the comment section below. Moving on. Back to Marvel Comics for Sword issue number 2. This is cover A, and the only reason I purchased this, as the story has not really gripped my attention. I know it's only been one issue, but the only reason I purchased this is because of the Null Symbiote logo. Symbiote logo right down there. It is a nice cover. It does have some cool characters. The first issue, and maybe that'll change with this one, but the first issue just did not grip me in any way. But as you know, I'm a huge fan of Null, huge fan of Venom, huge fan of Carnage, huge fan of the symbiotes, and everything involving the King in Black himself right now. Speaking of the King in Black, this is a King in Black tie-in, number 1 of the Thunderbolts, again making a return to Marvel Comics. Just a really cool bestiary cover. King in Black logo up there with the Thunderbolts. Little Rhino action. Again, King in Black, we have Planet of the Symbiotes. Number 1, cover A. Where you see Null holding the planet in the palm of his hand. And we do have 2 of those. And as you know the deal, when I show off 2 books, you can go to the ebay.com/ZachTheRipper comic store, because one of those 2 books will be on there with an auction price starting at just 99 cents. If you're interested in just buying the book immediately, there is a buy now price, as a lot of the books that I listed last week in the new comic book pickup video were bought now immediately from buyers on eBay, and I want to thank you guys for even checking it out, for doing some auctions, for purchasing those books. As you can see, there will be one of the Planet of the Symbiotes on there. Now this next book is a cover purchase, both because of what the cover is, and it's also not a cover purchase because I'm really not a fan of it. So that probably makes no sense to you, but here it is, The Marauders from Marvel, issue number 17. Has a huge xenomorph on there. But I will be honest with you, I am not a fan of the cover. I bought it because the xenomorph, because of the alien variant cover, which is cool, but not a fan of the actual art to it. I am a fan of Scatman John, so if any of you know where he is, what his whereabouts are, then please let me know in the comment section below. Our first DC book of the night this week is going to be a big week, not only for Hubert, but for the future state of DC Comics. And no, I'm not putting a pun on there. DC Future State is their new line, similar to Rebirth in 2016. This is issue number 1 of Kara Zor-El, Superwoman. Pretty sweet cover there, although some of these cover A's, some of them are really great, and then other ones look like they would be maybe in like the Marvel Action line, which is geared more towards children. Like, it's pretty art, it's gripping, there's a lot of color, but does it appeal to me as a man? Not so much. But they did not have the cover B available, so of course went cover A. Sticking with Future State, as there are going to be a ton of those, this is an oversized issue number 1 of Green Lantern featuring Guy Gardner and Jessica Cruz. I actually really like this cover here. It's simple, it's Green Lantern, there's some good art, and it's very colorful with all the green. That's what a Green Lantern book should look like. Another oversized book from DC's Future State, issue number 1 of the Justice League. As you know, they were doing a really bad job of keeping the fact that the Batman is now a man of color in the Future State. They were trying to keep that a secret, and I mean, on issue number 1 of the Justice League, you can see that. You can see their Wonder Woman is of different descent now. I have no issues with any of this. I actually think it's really cool, but if you were actually trying to make that like this big focal point secret, you did an incredibly bad job. And some of you might say, well, maybe that was the point, to do the bad job on purpose so that it leaked out. I think, especially with the year that was 2020, that you could have really got a lot of new fans in on the Justice League, on the new Batman, had you actually advertised it better. So in my opinion, DC Comics, thumbs down on the advertising for Future State, but thumbs up on some of the choices that you guys have made in some of these awesome covers. That is cover A. That is cover A of Justice League #1 Future State. And now I'm putting together cover B. Again, this is some fantastic art. On this cover, cover B, which was not the advertised cover in advance, Batman is completely masked up. Very cool looking. I mean, that Batman is really badass. Really nice movie poster-esque cover. This is the cover B for Future State Justice League issue #1. Every time you pick up a bag, you pick it up the wrong way. Every time you pick up a bag, you pick it up the wrong way. Every time you pick up a bag, you pick it up the wrong way. Similar to some of the other ones, this is DC's Future State Dark Detective issue #1. Again, this is an oversized book featuring the grifters. I love the cover A's because the bit. I love these cover A's of Future State because they're incredibly colorful. You have a bright blue, you have a bright yellow, a bright pink around Dark Detective. A lot of the bright blues mixed in here, so that way when you do use red as blood on seemingly Bruce Wayne there, it stands out and it's uneasy against all of that. Really nice cover. Cover A. And this is cover B, which I can only describe as just lazy. This is supposed to be the nicer cover. I don't think it even compares. I think it's boring. I think it's drab. It's bland. And I know Batman's dark and you always do a lot of rain on Batman, but it just looks horrible. It looks like an indie version. I'm just not a fan. That's cover B of DC Future State. And you know what? I might not have two, but we're going to put this bad boy on the ebay.com/Zack the Ripper comic store starting at 99 cents. Here we have DC's Future State Teen Titans #1. And there's there's two really interesting things about this cover that I'm absolutely loving. At first glance, you would look at it, you see a lot of color, some fire, really gripping, and you think, okay, well, you have Lobo's daughter, which is one of the two things, very awesome, and then you have Nightwing. But if you look closer, Nightwing looks to be grabbing the Deathstroke mask. So could in this future, this DC Future State's teen... Could in the Teen Titans #1 of DC's Future State, could Nightwing actually be Deathstroke? That's pretty cool. Issue #1, DC Future State, Superman, Wonder Woman. I absolutely despise the cover. I despise the art. I despise the logo. This is the new Man of Steel teaming up with the new Amazon Warrior. I think those logos are horrendous. They don't represent either character correctly. I think the art, Superman's face is atrocious. I think this is probably the worst cover of 2021 so far. There is zero part of me that wants to read the book based off of the cover. Now, the story I am interested in, there's a new Superman, a new Wonder Woman. I almost said nude. But the cover, horrible. What's up, guys? We'll get right back to the comic books in just a second. I know that some of you out there had contacted me previously asking how you could donate to Zack the Ripper Comics, to the channel, into getting better equipment, better speech skills for myself, and that you were unsure about Patreon because you did not want that monthly draft coming out of your account. I understand that, so what I'd like to do is extend you the offer of giving you my PayPal address, which is on the screen. You can go to paypal.com and donate any amount you'd like to Zach the Ripper Comics, along with a request. Like I said a few weeks ago, Cliff sent me $50 in that request, and he asked that I shave my beard, which I did. It's now finally starting to come back pretty nice. There's been some others that have said, hey, I'd like to remain nameless. I'd like to remain anonymous, so I'm just looking to do $1 here, $1 there. That's totally cool. If you do a big donation, like Cliff, hey, maybe you suggest a video that I do. Maybe you suggest something that I review. Maybe with a big enough donation like we do on Patreon, you co-host a video with me, with Zach the Ripper Comics, talking about anything around comic books, video games, and professional wrestling. So if you'd like to do that, if Patreon is not your thing, then please feel free, go to PayPal. My address is in the video. Donate anything you'd like to Zach the Ripper Comics, and know that I will send you a personal reply. I do appreciate everything that you guys do on Patreon, on PayPal, on YouTube when we do a live stream through the Super Chats. Now, back to the comics. But then you switch over to the cover B. I mean, this is what a variant cover should be. This is absolutely gorgeous. DC Future State, Superman, Wonder Woman, #1. I mean, this, again, they're going for a younger Superman. Totally okay. Wonder Woman looks gorgeous. Obviously a little bit different than her traditional look. But this cover absolutely makes me want to take a look at Wonder Woman and Superman in the DC Future State issue #1 of that series. Now this next one, again, DC Future State, I believe it's the final one this week. Robin Eternal #1, issue #1. I hate this cover. I hate the word art looking logo. I mean, this looks like something from Zach the Ripper Comics. Horrible. And everything about this cover and the name, Robin Eternal, just gives me these horrible flashbacks to Robin 3000 from like 1991, 2. Hope the story's good. It just looks really cheesy, really bad. Ugh. I don't even want to read it. Like, I want to, but I don't. Now, going back to Marvel for some of the absolute coolest, best covers of the week, and hopefully an amazing story. First, we have the variant cover, cover B, in a King in Black tie-in. It's Gwenum, Gwenpool, Gwen Stacy, Spider-Gwen, Ghost Spider, whatever you want to call her, mixed with Venom, so she has a symbiote, taking on Carnage. Again, this is cover B. That's Gwenum. Really cool looking cover here. Let me know in the comments below, how many times did I say a cover is cool looking? Did I make you sick? And now we go to the cover A, Gwenum versus Carnage. Sorry about that glare. This looks very McFarlane-esque. Very Spawn. I absolutely love it. And you know what? We have 2 copies, so if you're watching this and you're interested in this book for just 99 cents, feel free to hop on ebay.com/ZachTheRipperComics to find this and a ton of other books for just 99 cents. This is what I'm going to call this week's cover of the week. It is the Immortal Hulk issue #42, the cover B variant, the nullified variant. You guys absolutely know that I'm a huge fan of these nullified covers. Here we have She-Skull. mixed with null. Absolutely, like the most gorgeous use of color work on a book. Look at that green, the nullified stamp, that bright pink standing out, the whites. That is just awesome. Immortal Hulk number 42, cover of the week, but that is not our final book. Our final book is actually going to be one from last week, and if you watched the video last week, you know that I was shorted on one of my books. That book is Ghost Rider Return of Vengeance number 1. Now, I did get one of the covers. I got the cover A. However, this is the cover B, the nullified stamped variant of Vengeance himself. Probably just looks like a ton of orange from far away, but let's get close. There we go. The old school logo, 1993, making a comeback. There you see the nullified Vengeance, looking absolutely badass. And as you can see on this one, this has a black nullified stamp, which is just different from what they've been doing with the red stamps. And that is my cover of the week, part 2, because this book is technically from last week. Lest I forget, the absolute biggest and best pickup book, Chris Wilde, of the week. This comes to us as a New York Times bestseller by Andy Green, phenomenal author and tremendous huge fan of the book in which this is about. The untold story of the greatest sitcom of the 2000s, The Office. Really cool cover. Jim putting his things in Jell-O. Have to eat his way out. You have to eat it out. Here's the back. Just some really cool things. You see the Dundee. This was a gift, a Christmas gift to Zack the Ripper Comics from an incredibly special woman. And thank you. Thank you from me. Thank you from these guys. And thank you from all of the viewers that I'm sure will get a kick out of some Office action. And I will do a full-fledged review of this book in the future when I have completed it. I just started it last night. It will not take me long. However, it is New Comic Book Week, so I'm sure there's going to be a lot of dispersed reading between Marvel, between DC, between AWA Upshot, and between The Office. I want to thank all of my patrons on Patreon for supporting me through these hard times of 2020 into 2021. All of your comic books that you get free, courtesy of being a patron of Zack the Ripper Comics, have been sent out. And just a couple more months and you'll get more merchandise, such as t-shirts and things like that, from the teesprings.com/Zack the Ripper Comic Store. Where you can find things like that, posters, you can find leggings that have been hugely popular over the Christmas season here at Zack the Ripper Comics. Finding us on Facebook, liking us on Instagram, and before we get to it, yes, hit the like button on this video, hit the bell so you get notifications, and please subscribe to the channel to get more ridiculously hilarious, stupid content such as this. But I want to bring back something that everybody has been clamoring for, and that is the YouTube comment of the week. This week, it's actually a thread between two people that were commenting on last week's comic book video. And in that video, I made it clear through the thumbnail and through what I described the video as that I was excited that there was a Batman of color finally. Not because I'm racist or prejudiced or anything of that. It's just that Batman is a favorite superhero of mine. But the story of rich white kid getting raised by a rich butler has gotten old. So I need people to tell new stories. And if that means putting a person of color that's going to, obviously, if you've read the books, have a different background than Bruce Wayne, then I'm all for that because it gives equality. It shows that anybody can go up to become the superhero if they choose to. And it shows that there's different reading things. There's different things that I can read and be invested in. Had nothing to do with race, nothing to do with hatred of anyone. And obviously those of you that know me know that to be true. But going into the YouTube comment of the week, we start off with Matthew Vizcano. He quotes me saying, "Batman of color finally." Then he says in his own words, "Why is it that white people care more about people of color than people of color? Coming from me, a person of color." Going down below him, John Odinson says, "Virtue signaling." In response to that, Matthew says, "Not really, John. I these don't know why people not of color care so much to see more people of color." And coming from a guy from the East Coast, they get uncomfortable if a family of color moves in next to them. If you lived on the East Coast, you would know how bad the segregated is. John says, "I'm in VA." Matthew says, "Good to know. Thanks." So I want to thank you guys for lighting up those YouTube comment sections for me over the last week, and everybody else, please leave a comment below letting me know that you got to the end of this video, and maybe say gimmick in the comments so I know that you did. If you enjoyed this content, hit the thumbs up. If you hated it, let me know in the comment section below as to why. Until next time. What am I doing? I don't know if you can see, but Arnold was getting jealous that these lovely locks, this mane, this lion's mane, is coming in nicely on Zack the Ripper Comics, so he decided himself, along with his lovely, sweet Yolanda, to go get some hair. A lovely, I would not make fun of it. I am just trying to tell the people, Yarnold, that you look amazing with your bowl cut from 1996. I think it looks fantastic. Yolanda obviously loves it. Hello, baby. That's what I like. Banana, 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 banana. Guess what? That got... Nah. We're always pounding it. You gotta pound it. It's good stuff.